Because of one man's death, Congress moves to silence free speech. As I sit here and take in all of the news from every direction, all I see is deceivers, liars, corporate media, cover-ups, agenda, all pushing the same propaganda. It's time for a game changer, a visionary, an innovative person who changes the way that people think of the situations. It's time for Game Changer TV, telling it like it is. Get in the game. I'm going to need y'all's attention for this one. Thank you for tuning in to Game Changer TV. I'm your host, Terri Lynn, and this is the channel where every day we're telling it like it is. Today is September 19th, 2025. And let's talk about Congress moves to silence free speech over Charlie Kirk. Oh, the irony. Supposedly, Charlie Kirk, was the epitome of free speech and being able to say what you wanted to say. And now, because of him, they're wanting to silence all of our voices. So let's get into Clay Higgins. Now, Congressman Clay Higgins is a representative from Louisiana, from an hour from where I live. He represents Cajun country in Louisiana. Cajun people in Louisiana are some of the best people on the planet. Well, that's who he represents. And he went in there and on television, given this persona that he was pro-Constitution. He would not encroach on anybody's constitutional rights. He was going to go into D.C. He was going to clean it all up. Well, let y'all hear him say he was a sheriff officer in Louisiana before he became a congressman. And I'm going to let y'all hear him make his announcement that he was running for Congress so you can get his personality and where he said his convictions were.
Here, and you're welcome for the cash bar. Well, I generally don't need a microphone, so I'm known to be rather loud. Thank you for all being here, and you're welcome for the cash bar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I'm Captain Clay Higgins, Deputy Marshal. And it's my humble honor to stand before you tonight as a candidate for United States Congress. I intend to represent all of Acadiana, the great state of Louisiana, and patriot Americans from sea to shining sea as Louisiana 3rd District Congressman. My campaign staff has prepared a clear path to victory. Support for my message and support for this mission is nationwide. But please allow me to clarify something. People have been asking, are you running? Captain Higgins, what are you running for? I'm not running. I'm not a runner. I don't run from things. I'm not running for office. I'm descending into the belly of the beast, the Leviathan of biblical proportions that has become our federal government. Amen. I'm descending as a soldier by the will of the people, descending as a warrior, armed with the Constitution, protected by my faith, driven by love for my country, supported by the American people, and encouraged by the will of those patriots across America that would see their nation restored to greatness.
Now, doesn't that all just sound good? Sound like we're going to get just a man of God with a man of principles into Congress. Then he gets in an argument with a lady who's fighting about the environmental issues. This is a 4-minute clip. Listen to how common sense he sounded talking to her.
Americans are watching this hearing today, and I'm glad we're having it because this is some of the most outlandish testimony I've witnessed yet in 6 years in this oversight committee room. It's stunning. I'm not quite sure. I mean, with all due respect to our panelists today, I'm not quite sure some of you are connected to reality. So I'm going to, Miss Salter, ma'am, good lady, please prepare your mind because I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm going to give you most of my time. I think it's good that America hears what you have to say. If you had control of the world, ma'am, if your phone, the table you're sitting at, the chair, the carpet under your feet, everything you've got is petrochemical products, what would you do with that? Tell the world.
If I had that power in the world, actually, I don't need that power because what I would do is ask you, sir, from Louisiana.
I'm giving you the power. You're presenting.
To search you, sir, from Louisiana, to search your heart and understand why the EPA knows that toxic petrochemical facilities are some of the most toxic, polluting facilities in the world and are killing black people throughout Louisiana.
Okay, so my first thing would be you
to search your heart and ask your God what you are doing to the black and poor people in Louisiana. That would be my first thing to ask.
Let's just have one at a time so that we can.
It's my time, Mr. Chairman. If I reclaim my time, I shall. I'm going to give this young lady an opportunity. You might not like it, but America needs to hear it. You've got no answer, do you, young lady, about what to do with petrochemical products, so I'll move on. What are you going to do with ocean-going vessels? What do you do with the maritime industry?
Well, we could, again, I would ask you to search your heart for what is happening on the coast of Louisiana. Of course we do. We need to move away from petrochemicals. We need to shut down the petrochemical facilities in your state and move away from plastic. We need to move away from it.
You couldn't be here. It's insane. What would you do with the aviation industry?
The only thing that would not function is the petrochemical industry in your state, sir. Sir, if we're going to talk about the Lord, I ask that you search your heart again and think about repenting.
I search my heart very quickly. I love the planet. I'm asking you,
the fossil fuel industry that owns your state is destroying the earth and the natural world, and that is a fact, sir.
You know what you got, young lady? You got a lot of noise, but you got no answers. Mr. Chairman, I yield. Within 30 or 40 seconds, please. What would you do with petrochemical products? Okay, everything you have, your clothes, your glasses, the car you got her on, your phone, the table you're sitting at, the chair, the carpet under your feet, everything you've got is petrochemical products. What would you do with that?
So he comes from a police background. He claims to be a Christian. He seems like he has common sense. He said he was going to uphold the Constitution. He questioned what was going on with the Trump shooter's body. This was August 16, 2024, FBI cover-up. Trump shooter's body is gone and nobody knew. Clay Higgins. Representative Clay Higgins from Louisiana accused the FBI of obstructing the investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump by prematurely cremating the body of the shooter. Higgins, a former police captain and member of the bipartisan congressional task force reviewing the incident, uncovered this disturbing fact during his own inspection in early August. The FBI secretly released would-be Trump assassin Thomas Crook's body to be cremated before Representative Clay Higgins could examine it. Now, remember, he's a police officer. According to a preliminary investigation report from Higgins, the FBI cremated Crooks's body without telling anyone 10 days after the Pennsylvania rally. My efforts to examine Crook's body discovered a disturbing fact. The FBI released his body and it's gone, and nobody knew. The FBI secretly released would-be assassin Thomas Crook's body to be cremated before Representative Clay Higgins could examine it. According to the preliminary investigation reports from Higgins, the FBI cremated his body without telling anyone 10 days after the Pennsylvania rally. My effort to examine Crooks's body on Monday, August 4th caused quite a stir and revealed a disturbing fact. The FBI released the body for cremation 10 days after J13, the report reveals. On J23rd, Crooks was gone. Nobody knew this until Monday, August 5th, including the county coroner, law enforcement, sheriff, etc. Yes, Butler County coroner technically had legal authority over the body, but I spoke with the coroner and he would have never released Crook's body to the family for cremation or burial without specific permission from the FBI. The coroner's report and autopsy report are both late. As of Monday, August 5th, they were a week late. The problem with me not being able to examine the actual body is that I won't know 100% if the coroner's report and the autopsy report are accurate, and we will never know. So he's seeming like a stand-up kind of guy, isn't he? Let's keep going. Here he is, January 6, 2024, on Tucker. This is the smartest, best informed account of what actually happened on January 6. Representative Higgins tells Tucker all about undercover agents involved in January 6. Tucker said Higgins, a former police officer, provided the best informed account of what actually happened on January 6. Recall that in 2022, Representative Higgins asked the FBI if they had confidential human sources dressed up as Trump supporters embedded within the January 6 protesters. This was December 15, 2023. Clay Higgins says, I am confident that everybody on those buses were FBI assets. We've identified one of the buses, senior officials deeply involved. Representative Clay Higgins tells Laura Logan they have proof the FBI's involvement in January 6. Representative Higgins is famous for confronting FBI Director Chris Wray back in November 2022 on the confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. On November 23rd, he confronted Christopher Wray again about the FBI's confidential human sources. So he seems like our friend, right? Let's keep going. Now I want to show y'all this clip because this is the background of him as a sheriff officer with St. Landry Parish. And St. Landry Parish, Bobby Guidros knows my son because around 2010, I think, Joshua jumped out of my car and jumped into the bayou on Super Bowl Sunday. And the whole St. Landry Police Department, Sheriff's Department, was looking for my son for 4 hours in the bayou. And after Sheriff Landry is the one, Guidros is the one that found him, and I grabbed him, gave him a hug, and then it made it in the newspaper that the sheriff told the reporter, oh, his mother was so grateful when we found him, she gave me a big old hug. So people that read it was like, Terry, that sounds just like you. So this guy, Clay Higgins, worked for Bobby Guidros. So this is him working for St. Landry Sheriff's Department. So I'm going to let y'all see what kind of police officer he was on the surface, okay?
On Wednesday night, July the 8th, Stelly's Market and Restaurant on Highway 71 was broken into and burglarized. The thief smashed the front glass with a large rock, kicked in the office door, and made off with hundreds of dollars in cash. Watch as a man commits his crime. Look at him close. The hooded jacket he's wearing is camouflage. He appears to be light-skinned or white, and he looks to be around 6 foot tall and thin. Watch how he walks, with sort of a lanky gait. Stelly's has been a local favorite for decades. The family works hard and is known to be generous. Always with a kind word for friend or stranger, the Stelly family represents Southern hospitality at its best. If you're the man that committed this felony, look at me, son. I'm talking to you. The sheriff likes Stelly's restaurant, and so do I. The food here is good, and the folks are friendly. We're going to identify you, arrest you, and put you in a small cell. After that, I'm going to have a cheeseburger here with fries and a Coke and leave a nice tip for the waitress. Meanwhile, your next meal will be served through a small hole in a cell door. Because our detectives harvested DNA from the rock you used, and you left a perfect boot print on the door you kicked in. But we won't have to wait on lab results, because you're on St. Landry Crime Stoppers tonight. Congratulations, son. I'm about to make you famous. By tomorrow, 100,000 people will have watched you commit a felony. You will be recognized. And the people that know you don't really like you anyway. So when it comes down to a choice between you and $1,000, they'll take the cash. On behalf of Crime Stoppers, I'm Lieutenant Higgins.
So you would think that we have a stand-up kind of guy, standing up for what's right and wrong, standing up for the Constitution, going into the Leviathan.
Been asking, are you running? Captain Higgins, what are you running for? I'm not running. I'm not a runner. I don't run from things. I'm not running for office. I'm descending into the belly of the beast, the Leviathan of biblical proportions that has become our federal government. I'm descending as a soldier by the will of the people, descending as a warrior, armed with the Constitution, protected by my faith.
And apparently his love for the Constitution stopped on September 10th, 2025 with the death of Charlie Kirk, the death of one person. If it's a psyop, then we're about to lose a lot over this. And the man that said he was going to fight the Leviathan and the devil, he's the one leading the charge, the Cajun John Wayne. Okay, so look what Clay Higgins wrote. I am the man that said he was going armed with the Constitution. I am going to use congressional and authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life of every post or commenter, if you made a comment that belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If they ran their mouth with their smart ass hatred celebrating the heinous murder of this beautiful young man who dedicated his whole life to delivering respectful conservative truth into the hearts of liberal enclave universities, armed only with the Bible and a microphone. This is another whole story I'm going to get into. And a constitution, those profiles must come down. So I lean forward to the fight, demanding that big tech have zero tolerance for violent political hate content, the user be banned from all platforms forever. I am also going after their business license, permitting. Their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. Or do y'all hear this? They should be kicked out from every school and their driver's license should be revoked. I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. So he knows from law enforcement, you get arrested, you get charged, you go to trial, and your innocence or guilt is determined. He wants to immediately call you guilty cause you to lose your driver's license, not being able to drive anywhere, pull your business license so you won't even be able to have your livelihood, and you don't even. How many times have people's accounts been hacked? So how could they even prove for sure who even posted it? And he wants to be judge and jury and find you guilty and stomp on your neck because you said something he did not like. Oh, it's going to get better. On September 15th, he released this letter, okay, to Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, for Zuckerberg, Meta, and Facebook, Elon Musk at X, Chief Executive Order at TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky Social, and Trump Media. This is Clay Higgins, the one that said he was going to go fight the Leviathan, the one that said he was taking the Constitution with him to D.C. Thank you for your service you provide. He's thanking Elon Musk, Zuckerberg. He's thanking all the people that have censored us already. Gentlemen, thank you for your service you provide to our republic, and may God be with you and your family. America's suffering makes me want to vomit. America is suffering under the dark weight of horror after the graphic televised murder of heroic Christian leader, Mr. Charlie Kirk. Y'all wait till y'all see the video I'm doing on how religious he was. I ask that you reflect upon your own unique responsibility to participate in the very appropriate legal and constitutionally sound response. Please be advised that your platforms are rightfully expected to expeditiously remove all posts that have celebrated the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. Further, the authors of these posts are to be identified and banned from your platform, as well as any new pages they may create. Gleeful celebration of the heinous murder of the American citizen, brazenly published within the public forums of social media, is not to be tolerated within the accepted and legal parameters of free and humane society. I have initiated a congressional effort to force accountability. If you shield these offenders, Section 230 will not protect your platform from vigorous exposure. I hold the gavel for the Federal Law Enforcement Subcommittee of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and my chair has specific congressional authority over federal regulatory law enforcement. My committee will be leading a force in the righteous endeavor to protect the legitimate exchange of ideas and opinions, which requires vigilant maintenance of appropriate behaviors within our publicly accessed social media forums. The responsible restriction of public statements that lie far beyond the standards of our own society is not an oppression of free speech. Really, it is rather the protection of free speech. Double speak. This is 1984. Having the will to guard the standards and integrity of the infrastructure that enables the expression of opinion in our public discourse is a crucial responsibility that we must embrace. I am hopeful to receive your full cooperation. If not, he's going to put the gavel down on him. And I expect a formal response to this letter of encouragement within 1 week. Clay Higgins, Member of Congress, the Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the U.S., and the Honorable Pam Bondi, Attorney General. So, using fear and intimidation to get you to shut up and comply, making you not be able to question the official narrative. And my last video I did was a cover up or a psyop. So I put, will a psyop include a day of commemoration? Yes, a psychological operation could include a day of commemoration as a tactic to influence a target audience's emotions, attitudes, and behavior. By manipulating a shared cultural event or ceremonies, a psyop can evoke powerful psychological responses. What is a day of commemoration? It is a special day, a ceremony, or an event dedicated to remembering or honoring past events or people, often on an anniversary, to reflect on the history, memorialize sacrifices, and promote education or awareness. And look what happened yesterday. The Senate passes National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. So when we lose our freedoms, what's it going to be? October something. October 14th, his birthday. The day of remembrance will be Kirk's birthday, October 14th. So every year when our rights and constitutional rights have been taken away from us, we can be reminded on October 14th that we're having to do this because of the sacrifice Charlie Kirk paid. And we don't have a right to our constitutional rights anymore because he lost his life. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So we're still alive, but we don't have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He's supposedly dead. So yeah, he's lost his right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but we're still alive. But because of his death, now we all lose our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we'll be reminded every year why we've lost it. Yes or no? Could a day of commemoration strengthen a psyop? Yes, a day of commemoration can be used to strengthen the psychological operation by providing a credible and emotional framework to influence a target audience's beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. So they will strengthen it every single year. Now, this article is from July 13th, 2020. This is who is fighting to take away our driver's license and our business license. The scoundrel, the one that sounds so wonderful, that said he was going with the Constitution. This is out of a Louisiana news. Hold on, y'all. I got to take a drink. My throat's getting dry. The scoundrel, Clay Higgins, turned in his badge twice before campaigning for Congress as a celebrity cop. As Clay Higgins gears up his reelection campaign, social unrest over the police killings of unarmed African Americans are forcing a reassessment of his record. Clay Higgins rose to political power by telling a story about personal redemption, but his former boss, Sheriff of St. Landry Parish, and I've got Bobby Guidro's personal cell phone number in my phone right now because of his involvement with Josh, now claims he would have never given him, Bobby Guidro, the sheriff officer, okay, but his former boss, the Sheriff of St. Landry Parish, Bobby Guidro's, now claims he would have never given Clay Higgins a second chance in law enforcement if he had known what really happened before Higgins resigned from the police force in Opelousas. Now, my two younger sons were born in Opelousas, okay? So all these players are hitting home to me, all right? And then there's a story in here. He's from Clay Higgins also worked at Port Barry. Josh got arrested in Port Barry. That's another whole story. The police let Josh out so quick because he was tearing up the police station. In this expansive essay, we consider Higgins' past, his record as a police officer, the persona he contrived for the cameras. Contrived persona, y'all remember, they're all playing a part. And the truth about his self-proclaimed redemption. We also consider complicated and peculiar history and the struggle for civil rights in the parish that he once patrolled. Okay? And it goes on and on and on about how much trouble he got into. In late February 2016, before he decided to run for Congress, Clay Higgins was still holding out hope that he could land his own reality television show. The persona for TV. He spent the better part of the past year exchanging emails and phone calls with people from Hollywood. He inked a deal with a talent scout, hired an agent, and enlisted the help of a local lawyer and a CPA. Together, they settled on a working title for the show, American Justice with Clay Higgins. Despite the fact that American Justice was already the name of another television show, he was told it wasn't a problem. Glenn Clay Higgins, then 53, had suddenly become famous, thanks entirely due to a series of Crime Stoppers segments he taped for KATC TV. Clay Higgins, who was given the role of Public Information Officer in October of 2014 after the department's previous spokesperson was cited for reckless operation of a vehicle, played a gruff, no nonsense, law and order type who spoke with an intense baritone reminiscent of Joe Faraday, except with a crispy, starched uniform and not a suit and a tie. A persona for television. He was wanting to get into acting. His videos quickly went viral. Within the span of only a year, they had racked up more than 60 million views. The Washington Post called him the Cajun John Wayne, even though Higgins isn't actually Cajun. Higgins, the Post proclaimed, was America's most irresistibly intimidating cop. He might be Cajun because he was born in New Orleans, grew up in Covington, and now he represents Cajun country. So I don't know why that article would say that. Today, Captain Higgins, as he still prefers to be called, he held the rank of a captain for only 7 months, from August 2015 to February 2016, is now Congressman Higgins, a far-right Republican firebrand, running for his third consecutive term in Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District. During his 4 tumultuous years in office, at St. Landry, Higgins has become a deeply divisive figure. Even in his own largely conservative home base, he's known to be volatile and occasionally threatening with constituents who criticize him on social media. So that's why, okay, he's wanting to take away all of our rights if we criticize any of this because he's taking it personal. Okay, because he's remembering when they were attacking him on the internet. So now he's wanting to wield his sword and take vengeance. Clay Higgins is known to be volatile and occasionally threatening with constituents who criticize him on social media, often responding in the small hours of the morning and sounding more like a bored and belligerent alcoholic than someone who wears the word honorable before his name. Okay, it goes on and on and on. But yet he's sending letters to Meta, X, True Social, all of them, to ban everybody. Okay. Now, this was from 2016. Bobby Guidros gets in on this. Okay. Sheriff Bobby Guidros. That man was nothing but good to us. Guidros to Higgins, put your big boy pants on. In a no-hold-bars interview, St. Landry Sheriff unloads on former spokesman. When Clay Higgins made the leap into celebrity and announced his resignation from the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office from the steps of the parish courthouse in Opelousas on February 29th of this year, leap year coincidentally or not, he proclaimed with his low familiar bluster, "I will die before I will sacrifice my principles." This is Clay Higgins. "I will die before I sacrifice my principles. I will die and leave my wife without a husband, my children without a daddy, rather than kneel to very forces of evil that I have so long stood against. I will sacrifice my life for my principles, little lying devil. Surely you understand I must sacrifice my job." 15 minutes before the announcement, Higgins had tendered his resignation to Sheriff Bobby Gidros at the courthouse announcement. Higgins would say of his now former boss, although I'd take a bullet for my sheriff, although I'd stand with him against any peril, I cannot abide by his current orders. I'm sorry, I just can't. Gidros' current orders? To tone it down in the Crime Stoppers videos and follow department procedures when appearing as the Cajun John Wayne from The Office. So Clay Higgins was intimidating people. He was talking nasty to people. He was threatening people. But now he's wanting to silence every single person's voice that acted how he acted and wants to take away your driver's license and your ability to make income. Higgins' exit is stuck in Gidros' craw. What upset me the most was he led the public to believe that I wanted him to do something which was maybe, I don't know, illegal, the sheriff says. A dazzling autumn Jefferson Street streaming through Venetian blinds into the conference room at the Independent. The IND had been talking to Gidro in recent days, seeking Higgins' email records from his office, and Gidros has stopped in to take a photo after having lunch downtown. He insinuated he was doing something against his principles, that the sheriff wanted him to say or not say or do or not do something, Gidros continues. That's what he left with the public. It upset me because he did not correct that. He did not say why he left. Gidros says prior to the infamous Gremlins Crime Stoppers video that aired on KATC in December, the one in which an animated Higgins toting an assault rifle and wearing full body armor says into the camera as an alleged gang member somehow out in TV land, "Young man, I'll meet you on solid ground anytime, anywhere, light or heavy, makes no difference to me. You won't walk away." Higgins had been called in 2 or 3 times and warned to tone it down, the rhetoric due to concerns from department lawyers as well as Crime Stoppers attorneys. It's worth noting that Gidros insists he personally had no issues with the Gremlin videos, but the lawyers did. Gidros had also put the kibosh on TV commercial Higgins shot for the local burglar alarm company when Higgins appeared in the commercial in full St. Landry Parish Sheriff Officer uniform, which Sheriff Gidros said is against the law. Clay Higgins came into my office after the Gremlins video and requested extra body armor and an AR-15 and to take the decals off his car, Gidros recalls. And I said, why? And he said, my wife is home alone a lot. I don't want these Gremlin guys that are making these threats. I don't want them to see that I'm a policeman living in this area with the decals on my car. And my response to him was, no, I'll tell you why. You put a target on 55 other deputies in this parish that have marked units. By calling these guys out on the street claiming to be a badass, and I'm sorry for using the word ass, and I say, you know what? You put that target on them. Why should I grant you that request to unmark your car? Gidros maintains that while he gave Higgins permission to sell T-shirts, mugs, and other gewgaws at his fame burgeoned over the course of 2015, he was unaware that Higgins was meticulously plotting his launch into America's trotty reality TV stratosphere long before he resigned at the end of February. Now we're talking about February 29, 2016 into March and April 2025, 11 months before that. You start reading the emails he was sending. He was hiring an agent. He was hiring an attorney. He was contracting with people to take care of his speaking engagement, Gidros notes. So Gidros is a sheriff officer. He's got somebody working for him that's contracting with Hollywood, and he didn't know what was going on. So he is preparing his departure way before, 10 months, 11 months before he actually left, and I did not know that. Shortly after Higgins' departure, Sheriff Gidros sent a memo to department personnel in order to control the rumors and the false information. I put letter out to say this is what was happening. Gidros said he would not comply with policy. He just could not. And it's a shame because I think he could have gone far in our department if he had taken the time to follow the law, the policies and procedures. So this is a rebel who doesn't want to submit to his own sheriff, and now he's gone rogue in the far right movement and want to squash people's constitutional rights to free speech. Was it that much that your head got that big that you could not and would not comply? I regret that because I did like him. Sheriff Guidroz says he now sees a correlation between Higgins' demeanor becoming more outlandish in the Crime Stoppers videos and his setting on the crime busting character he was trying to sell to television producers in California. The Guidroz memo, as well as a horde of emails Higgins sent and received through his official St. Landry Police Sheriff's Office email account in the year leading up to the departure from the sheriff office, have become news since several local and national news outlets, including The Independent, requested them from Bobby Guidroz's office. In the emails, Higgins responds with potential reality TV producers, chats with his agent and financial planner, and negotiates deals to speak and or appear at corporate functions. So he's a celebrity hog. At least once he asked to be paid in cash, a request that should be considered against the fact that the time the IRS was garnishing Higgins' paychecks as caught up in thousands of dollars in back tax. But the reality TV deal never came through. Clay Higgins' profile had gone national, and he wasn't going to let it go to waste. On May 18th, he announced his bid to run for the 3rd Congressional District seat, opening up Representative Choice Boustany's seeks to move up in the Senate. Clay Higgins does not belong in Congress in my mind because he's doing it for the wrong reasons, Sheriff Bobby Guidroz says. If he were a public servant and seeking a position where he could make a difference, I'd say go for it. But he has no experience with dealing with the public, no tolerance, no patience, and no understanding of what it takes to follow the law or the general policies and guidelines of an organization. If you think you're going to get elected to Congress because everybody in Wyoming and California and Wisconsin and North Carolina say they love you, they're going to send you $100 for your campaign. They're not going to elect you to Congress in the 3rd District in Louisiana. But the financial windfall and fame that spring from Higgins' national profile as a crime-fighting Louisiana cop are surely helping. By most accounts, he's polling second in the race behind the Public Service Commissioner, Scott Angel, and may very well get in the December runoff. And he won. What upsets me, and I think he's trying to convince people that he's a street cop. And you know what? He's not, Bobby Guidroz says as he slips into addressing Higgins directly. You were a policeman in Port Barry for 2 years. And y'all, Port Barry's police department is hysterical. It's got one cell in it. It looks dilapidated. That's the Port Barry Police Department. That's another whole story. Like I said, Josh was tearing that place up, and they got him out of there quick. So here's a 2-minute clip, a comedian making fun of Port Barry police. He's a Cajun guy, and he's making fun of Port Barry police. Now remember, this is where Clay Higgins came from, and Sheriff Guidroz reminded him, you were a police officer at Port Barry. Listen to this. Port Barry 1 to Port Barry 2.
Now, another thing about Cajuns, don't ever go speeding through any of our small Cajun towns. Oh, we can set speed traps like you never seen. Especially don't go speeding through a little Cajun town called Port Barry, Louisiana. Oh, y'all got caught, huh? Don't go speeding through Port. When Port Barry Police Department sets a speed trap, the entire Port Barry Police Department goes out. Both police cars. Port Barry 1 and Port Barry 2. Y'all ought to see that. They each get on opposite ends of town, you know? And then, of course, they talk to each other on the radio, all that official police business. It sounds like that. PB1 to PB2, come in. PB2 to PB1. Go ahead. PB1 to PB2, you gonna get some fried chicken for supper? PB2 to PB1, affirmative on the chicken. PB1 to PB2, pick me up a tie and 2 wings, eh? PB2 to PB1, 10-4 on that, just tell me where you at. PB1 to PB2, what you mean where I'm at? I'm right here in the front seat, couillon.
Port Barre area is 1.1 square miles. So Sheriff Guidreau put him in his place, okay? He was a police officer at that town before the 4 years at the sheriff's office. The sheriff, Bobby Guidreau, says, it upsets me, and I think he's trying to convince people that he's a tough street cop. And you know what? He's not, Guidreau said, as he slips into addressing Higgins directly. You were a policeman in Port Barre for 2 years. You got run off from the Opelousas Police Department after a year and a half. 2 years Higgins worked for Opelousas Police Department from November 2004 to May 2017. I took you in at the sheriff's office and I promoted you. It didn't mean you had leadership abilities. It meant you needed to be promoted to do the job. For 4 years? That's not the definition of a street cop. He goes on and on. It says, straight from me, this is what he is. He's got people fooled, Sheriff Guidry said. And if he wants to run for sheriff in 3 years, and you can record this, if he wants to run for sheriff against me in 3 years, I say put your big boy pants on and come on and get it. Because you're going to lose quick and you're going to have to show people who you really are, what you got. So now this person that likes to bully people and act tough wants to take our free speech away. And let's just go look for fun at how rude and condescending he was to people. But he was trying to get a Hollywood deal. Now remember, this is the man that wants to silence people that he says is bullying people online. But yet he was using YouTube to bully people. And he did it. This is the gremlin video that the sheriff said that he had a problem with and said, no, I'm not going to let you take your decals off your car. And he was in full uniform, okay? That Sheriff Guidreau says was against the law.
The Gremlin Street Gang is responsible for hundreds of violent crimes, murders, armed robberies, witness intimidation, burglaries.
First of all, look at all the people he's got in this picture with him. Okay, does this look like normal policing? But he was trying to get signed to Hollywood. His online persona.
Responsible for hundreds of violent crimes, murders, armed robberies, witness intimidation, burglaries, drug trafficking, extortion, and brutal beatings. We've arrested 10 of these thugs and have warrants on 7 more. Every one of these animals is most definitely armed and dangerous.
So he's referring to people as animals. Isn't that hate crime?
Darren Carter, Aaron Carter, Travis Cooper, Cody Guidry, Jaron Diggs, Kirkland Demichet, and Jonathan Landry. We have felony warrants for your arrest. You will be hunted. You will be tracked. And if you raise your weapon to a man like me, we'll return fire with superior fire. Darren Carter, you think men like these are afraid of an uneducated, 125-pound punk like you that's never won a fair fight in your life and holds your gun sideways? Young man, I'll meet you on solid ground anytime, anywhere, light or heavy. Makes no difference to me. You won't walk away. Look at you. Men like us, son, we do dumbbell presses with weights bigger than you. And the convicts in jail, most of those men are good people who just found themselves crossed with the law. They're not evil. and they don't respect you or any punk like you. They'll toss you around like a rag doll. I encourage every citizen watching this to look into your own heart and find the American courage that conquers all evil. I implore you to listen to this message and stand up. Take back your streets. Take back your country. Come forward with information about these heathens that have terrorized your community. And for those who would use this message as a way to create false racial division in our country, take a close look behind me. Standing next to every cop is a leader of our black community. This is not about race. It's about right versus wrong. One last message to the gremlins. You don't like the things I've told you tonight? I got one thing to say. I'm easy to find. On behalf of the same.
So he's making threats. I'm easy to find on his Cajun John Wayne commercials that he's trying to audition for a Hollywood script. But behind the scenes, he's going to the sheriff. Hey, can I take my decals off? My wife is home alone and I don't want the gremlins to go. But he's talking tough on there. But that's a persona. I just want to read a couple of things on his wiki page. At 18, Higgins enlisted in military police corps of Louisiana National Guard, serving 6 years and reaching rank of staff sergeant. While working as a military officer, Higgins supported the 1992 presidential campaign of Pat Buchanan and gubernatorial campaign of KKK leader David Duke. Despite Higgins describing Duke as a Nazi to the Atlantic Journal reporter, he worked several years as a manager for car dealerships. In 2004, Higgins became a patrol officer for Opelousas City Police Department. Opelousas is 7.9 square miles. Opelousas is about 51 miles from where I live. So in 2004, Higgins became a patrol officer for Opelousas City Police Department. By 2007, Police Chief Perry Gallo was prepared to take major disciplinary action against Higgins. So this was the first police department he worked for. They were going to take disciplinary action against him the first couple of years he worked there. In a letter to the city council, he wrote that Clay Higgins used unnecessary force on a subject, and you think this is unnecessary force taking our constitutional rights away? Clay Higgins used unnecessary force on a subject during the execution of a warrant and later gave false statements during an internal investigation. Although he later recanted his story and admitted to striking a suspect in handcuffs and later releasing him, Higgins resigned before disciplinary action could be imposed. In September 2016, during his congressional campaign, Higgins claimed to have resigned from the police force for other reasons, calling Gallows a peacock, a colorful, flightless bird. Gallows, by then retired as a police chief, publicly disputed Higgins' version of events. Higgins worked for Port Barry. Before that, for a year and a half. Higgins worked for Port Barry Police Department through 2010. In 2011, he joined the St. Landry Police Sheriff's Office after the office's public information officer was reassigned. I'm sorry, y'all, my throat is hurting. Was reassigned in October 2014. Higgins was appointed and promoted to captain. As public information officer, Higgins made videos for the Parish Crime Stoppers program. He first used standard scripts, but began to improvise in his own style, appealing to suspects to surrender and sometimes threatening them by name. His videos went viral, and in 2015, he was described by national media as the Cajun John Wayne for his intimidating persona. Sheriff Bobby Guidros used restraint, advising Higgins to refrain from personal comments about suspects and to keep a professional tone in his videos. Okay? So it was a pretty big deal. So he worked at 3 police departments and had disciplinary issues in all of the police departments. Stayed 1 or 2 years, at the most 4 years at St. Landry. Bobby Goodrow said, I liked him, but he was an insubordinate type person. He was a rebel, didn't follow orders, and said he shouldn't even be a congressman. So now this person with this past is threatening to take our free speech away. This Cajun John Wayne wants to take driver's license away, business license away. And while they're threatening to take away all of our rights, they are going to give a Charlie Kirk Day so that every year we can be reminded on why we don't have rights anymore, and that we should be grateful that the government is silencing everybody's voices because of Charlie Kirk. This is unreal. But he made his announcement like he was about to ride into Congress on his white horse. That's why the Bible says, cursed is the man that trusteth in the arm of the flesh, but blessed is he who trusts in the name of the Lord. Because they're all liars and deceivers. The only truth is found in Jesus. So we have Congress and the Senate. Senate just passed the commemorative holiday. So we have Congress and Charlie Kirk to think that we're about to lose our constitutional rights. Are y'all going to honor October 14th when you're not able to say anything anymore? I love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. If you appreciate the content that you find on my channel, would you prayerfully consider supporting the ministry?